Mr. Val is going to, Chairman Val, not Chairman Val, excuse me, yeah. Commissioner Val will do the prayer, and then Commissioner Wells will lead us in the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we come to you again to tell you how much that we love you, how much we appreciate what you do for us, what you have done, what you will do, most of all for our salvation. Please forgive us when we sin against you. Please forgive us, Father, when we don't act as we should. Please strengthen us, Lord, to always do what you would have us to do each and every day. As we gather here today, Father, we pray that you send the Holy Spirit to give us your wisdom, your discernment, Lord, to make decisions. It's what's right for your people. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Robbie, you do the roll call.
Commissioner Mays.
Here.
Commissioner Foster. Commissioner Vandegrift.
Here.
Commissioner Val.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
Commissioner Wells.
Present.
Commissioner Bochamp.
Here.
And Commissioner Collier.
Here. Okay. I guess we need to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve our agenda?
A motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same way opposed? Okay, motion carries. I guess we should ask, are there any citizens here that would like to speak to the speak to the budget committee? If you do, please come to the podium. You'd have 3 minutes maximum. Anyone would like to speak to the budget committee? Okay, I guess not. We're moving on. Robbie, you go ahead with the financial reports.
Okay, cash and fund balance report ending February of 2024. The general fund, restricted funds are 1.5 million, committed funds are 1.2 million, assigned funds are 4.1 million, unassigned fund balance is 10.4 million, for a total fund balance of 17,337,524. Cash ending in February, 23,681,781. Remember, February is the month we collect most of our property taxes, and the cash balance, usually all of these will go down from, especially if you're involved in the property tax, which most of these funds are, will go down from this month going towards June. Other funds, the general purpose school fund 141, 8.5 million fund balance, 19.9 million cash balance at the end of February. Any questions on the fund balance report?
Okay.
Sales tax, January, we were up 13% for the county as a whole, 5,295,887.94. The county as a whole, the county's portion, Anderson County portion, 597,913, which is up 3% from last January at 577. So good month for sales tax. The sales tax report was fun to put in back in the day when we used to have those huge growths, but now it's like I just want to take it out now.
Any questions on the sales tax? Okay.
All right, the ARPA projects is basically the same as last month, 1.5 million in revenue loss. Other eligibilities still showing 6,322, a negative balance for a total of 1,590,074. Again, we have that balance, that negative balance in there because we do expect some of these projects to come in lower than the amount we have appropriated in that for that project.
Robbie, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
which projects are you identifying as possible?
Well, I do think the
Well, I know the emergency does that include the emergency communication?
have we already taken the John? Do we finish up with the radios? Is it still on here showing?
It's still showing that there's balance. We had a PO out for it. I don't think we received everything yet. So there's quite a bit of funds remaining in that portion based on what we had allocated. So
I was trying to find that. Yeah.
So would that go under other eligibilities?
Yes, everything, no, it would go under revenue loss, right? Everything, if any money was left over, we'd probably zero out other eligibilities, and then the remaining balance would go into revenue loss.
Thank
But
you, Robert.
I expect that one to come in under, I think we've paid for the radios and we were under, but I think we have some, a contract for maintenance possibly right now.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like, I think it's just, this is memory only, but I think 142,000 coming back, does that sound right, John? The
Yeah, something, yeah, I don't have
124,000, I might have the numbers.
And these AEDs, is that 219, is that 55,000 savings, or is there more to be purchased on that?
That is yours, Nathan.
The AEDs,
Yeah,
so we're getting ready to make that purchase, because we made the bulk purchase for all the first responders first. EMS applied for a grant, so we held off any portion that would be for EMS, but we didn't get that grant.
okay,
So we're in the process of buying the AEDs. It won't be exactly 55, but it'll be close to it.
gotcha. Thank you, buddy.
Any other questions? Okay,
Okay, the grant inventory list, nothing, I mean, from last month, nothing's changed. We added the account codes on the very left, and it's just a listing of our grants that we have ongoing this year. That some do cross fiscal years, but it would, it lets you know that in, the grant end date and beginning date. Any question on the grant?
questions? Okay, moving on to items for action. Consent agenda transfers.
Yes, 1 through 7, I'd be happy to take those as a group, and answer any questions that you might have.
Okay,
Motion to approve as a group?
Second.
okay, motion is made in second. Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. 8 through 12 are from the school department. Most of these are increases in revenue and increasing expenditure items. In fact, the first 3 are, and the last one is, the fourth one is an appropriation from, actually, the first 4 are increases in revenue. Actually, all 5 are, sorry. So they're all 5 increase in revenues, which means we're getting revenue to cover these expenditures. Some of it's summer program, I'm thinking. The big one there, 534, 725, is the summer learning camps that we get grants to cover.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve as a group?
I'm sorry?
Second.
Okay. As a group?
Yes.
Yes. Motion approval as a group. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. 13 through 16 are from our highway department. 3 of those from unassigned fund balance, or from its restricted for highway funds, which have 2.3 million, and 1 is a insurance transfer for a guardrail at $6,200.
Motion to approve as a group.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion, approval as a group. All those in favor, say aye.
Mr. Chairman, sorry,
Pardon?
I was gonna ask a question.
Oh, I'm scared. Excuse me.
That's fine. I was just curious, Gary, on the roads schedule, do you keep a list of that, or is it kind of just as it comes along, or?
The paving schedule?
Yeah,
No, it's, we don't publish it or we don't keep it. We keep a list or schedule, but it changes from time to time, depending on deterioration and storms and things of that nature, but,
okay,
yeah.
all right, thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions I might fog you with? Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Number 5 from the Conservation Board for $24,000. I'm going to take this one off. We actually got a new quote for the 24. It's already went up to $42,000. But the mayor and me were talking about this morning, and she's going to check with stormwater, have Danny go out and look at the property that we could possibly use some funding from it to help with this erosion problem. So it will go back to the Conservation Board and maybe come back next month possibly, or if there's a solution with the stormwater, then possibly handle it that way. So just removing number 17.
Any questions on this item? Okay. Robbie?
Okay, number 18 is from the Circuit Court Clerk. It is from Archives and Records Restriction, $6,662.18 for furniture and fixtures to purchase shelving units to store permanent court records.
Okay.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second.
Hey, Rex,
Any discussion or questions?
I do. I think this is the thing you were talking about last month. And Rob, and excuse my ignorance, but does this have to go, can it come straight to us, or does it need to go to records and archives first? Is that a rule?
I don't know that either. It didn't, I mean, I don't think they've had a meeting
Okay.
records, but
All right.
Okay. We have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor? Excuse me, I should ask for are there additional questions?
If y'all want to see, the rooms is finished. I've got probably, I don't know, 70% of the shelving up on the general, I said my side and house sides. So on my side, I've got about 70% of the shelving's up. This will finish the other 30%, and another half, Hal will be next. It'll finish up that room.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And like sign. Motion carries.
okay, the next one is from, number 19 is from the Chancery Court. Hal Cousins, the same Archives and Records, $17,210 for the same kind of shelves.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion for approval and a second. Discussion or questions? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries.
All right, number 20 is from Fleet Services. It's increasing revenue $15,940 and increasing communications and internet service $940, tires and tubes $5,000, and vehicle parts for $10,000.
Do I have a motion
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
and a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion, questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unopposed? Motion carries.
Just to say, this is this fleet service revenue is revenue we make from sometimes school departments, and I think the Anderson County Water Authority, we service their cars, and places like that have to pay for the services that they do there. So, number 9 is from the library. Number 21, it is, number 9, it is 21 appropriation for $6,800 for utilities. This was not put in their budget, but we are paying the utilities at Rocky Top. So I need this to be in the budget because we do have to pay those when they're due. So you can imagine when I discovered that, I discovered some issues in budget during budget season. When I start looking at last year's budget, I think, okay, we didn't budget for this. So, and it was just, I think they didn't send it over, and I think the girl last year that Rocky Top's budget was actually her first year ever doing a budget. So she, I probably should have discovered it then, but I didn't. So anyway.
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question for Robbie.
Question?
So this does confirm we do pay
We do.
utilities
The
for
only
library.
city that that helps with utilities is Norris. And they send us they pay the utilities up front, they send us a quarterly bill, we pay half.
And this restricted code up here for social, cultural,
Yes, not spelled correctly.
like how does that money flow into that account? Like,
It's, sometimes they may have some extra revenue, like, or they don't spend all the money in their expenditure codes, and
so this is like a library fund balance?
yes, that's their fund balance.
Really?
Like all codes, and each fund has a fund balance, and that's how that money gets into fund balance. It's just extra revenue or expenditures, not revenue over expenditures. So they do have a 345,742. Now, each library has a separate fund balance, but I combine them all, cause,
So this is everybody,
yes.
300. What typically gets rolled over every year?
They just come in under budget.
I
Sometimes,
know, I'm just saying like,
well, like
on
a lot
average,
of times-
10,000, 20,000?
Oh, not that much.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I think the majority of this was from, it's probably decreasing as the years go. We put a cap on their fund as far as property taxes and go for the library board last year. But, you know, property tax coming in more than we budgeted would give them a surplus. They were keeping all that money into that fund because we didn't have a cap on it, so,
That's a big, nice chunk of money.
yeah.
So where's that money set? Where's that setting at?
It's in their main bank account. It's just part of it's their fund balance though. Yeah, and I report that out every month the cash and fund balance report, I don't read over every one of them, but if you look at it, it has every fund on there and their
Okay.
fund balance. I actually discovered today in the budget process too, that the libraries, we don't insure their buildings because they're city owned, except for Briceville we do. But we insure all four of the contents in the building, up to 800,000 for Clinton and 400,000 for Rocky Top and Norris, and 2 for Briceville, 200,000. So
How much is that annually?
about $1,000. So they haven't been paying that. They didn't budget it this year, but I'm going to ask for it, and I put it in the budget for next year.
Any other questions?
That kind of fund balance, they ought to be paying their way, period.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I'm doing that,
Yeah.
because I didn't realize we were honestly insuring their building, their contents in their building. So,
Okay, we have a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign?
okay, the next two are from EMS, from Nathan, $12,000 from fund balance for maintenance and repair of some mobile radios. And the second one is for $6,600 for staff development.
Motion to approve.
Second. As a group,
Yes.
okay, discussion, questions?
Why wouldn't this come out of the money we appropriated through EMA?
This is EMS.
I know,
But why
but
wouldn't it what?
why wouldn't it come from the money we appropriated for the countywide radio?
Be okay.
Yes.
So these are to upgrade mobile equipment we already have, not to buy new ones. So when we bought some equipment years ago, we took out the 800 frequency that we're getting ready to move to make them cheaper when we bought them at the beginning. Now we're having to add that back, as opposed to $12,000 to upgrade 4 radios as opposed to $50,000 to replace them. So we're just taking funds that we have to flash that back to get those equipped. So I didn't even approach EMA about doing that, sir.
I appreciate his financial stewardess, but we appropriated that kind of money to get new stuff for everybody. I would just, take advantage of that, but.
Well, and to refresh, the state is supposed to also be providing us some new mobile radios. So what, the radios that we bought, that you guys approved, we aren't gonna get any mobiles for our ambulances because the state's supposed to provide those. So that actually attributed about an additional $120,000 savings to the county. Now, we don't know when those are coming in, but we already have some radios that will get us to the new radio system.
Okay.
Yeah,
Other
'cause I think the
questions?
sheriff's department, actually Tyler's having the same issue with their mobile radios they need. It's not the same as these other radios we purchased, it's different. They need these also. Right, Katie?
Yes, basically, I had talked to Robbie earlier this week, and we under the radios that the commission's purchasing, I think it's pretty much handhelds. And a lot of our mobile radios, we have bought secondhand 5 or 6 years ago, then they're starting to be phased out. So, you know, we had talked about maybe getting 15. In which the mobile radios are cheaper. The ones we're buying, they're cheaper than the handhelds. A lot cheaper, actually.
I just would say, Mr. Chairman, I mean, when we approved this as a commission, you know, and this is no fault of Bryce at all, but, you know, I think initially we were like, you know, 1.25 million to really kind of get the entire county where it needs to be. So I would just maybe recommend that, you know, if the mayor wants to talk to Bryce of, you know, I think that we still stand behind that commitment of wanting to get everybody in the county on the same system and, you know, new radios. So when I see that we're coming in under budget, $200,000, that's great, but when we've got requests to get new radios, that $200,000 really doesn't excite me too much. Whenever you see what I'm saying? It's going to go in this way, then go out another. So I would just ask that we kind of look at this again and see if we can take care of everybody in the county that has these needs. And then if there's more funding that's needed, then come back before us and we'll talk about it then. But just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? Okay.
Thank
We have a
Last-
mo-
The last budget amendment I have is number.
I don't think we voted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, we have a motion to approve. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Okay, again, the last budget amendment I have is from the Circuit Court, Rex Lynch, $6,000. He's transferring from contracts with public agencies to jury and witness fees. We only have $1,340 available in the jury and witness fees, so for the year, so we need, when we have expenses. They were lined up
Motion.
around the corner this morning.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, we have a motion to approve. Do you have a second? Second. Discussion, questions?
I thought Saber,
Okay.
sorry.
All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
All right. Moving into section A, grant application, there is one here from the county mayor's office for a TDOT litter grant for grant amount is $52,100 beginning July of '24 through June of '25, asking for approval. There's
So
no
moved.
match required.
We have a motion to approve. Second? Second.
Who was the first? I'm sorry.
Any further discussion, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. The 24-25 budget preparation, the handouts I gave you all tonight, this very first one is the fund balance, estimated fund balance report. For the budgets that I have completed, as you can see, it starts out with your fund equity that we have in the, basically the county has 10 million. Your budgeted revenues, 34. I have every general fund budget and the revenues done, but we have 34,778,582 in revenues, expenditures 34,736,252. That leaves an excess of 42,330. That would, which the fund balance grows to 10,042. This is just an estimate only. The revenues and expenditures are what are current that we have, that I have anticipated for this year's budget. Revenues can change. I know we have the property tax, we're in our last year before reappraisal next year. There's this thing called a ratio. It's at 72%. It's expected to drop to 56% for us this year, for this next fiscal year, which could mean we will have less property tax. We'll get into more of that. We're not even supposed to know that till April. That's kind of what stinks about budget. They want you to start real early, but a lot of the things they give you from the state doesn't happen till later, April, May. So, but that will affect the budget for a lot of these funds. It could go down. We do have growth, which I got a new assessment from Billy today. Our property has increased, but it's the personal property? The personal property that gets the ratio, so theirs goes down each year until we have a new assessment. So anyway, going down, you can look at each budget. They're all in pretty good shape. EMS would be, in my opinion, the biggest decision we have to make this year as far as budgets go. And really, everything else can be funded as is. And I even have the debt services on here and the 171 fund and the 177. 263, I got highway this morning, but not in time to do it. The 141 and 143 are not due till April, I think, next month. So we should add to this in next month. And then I gave you a new summary of proposed budget. So what this does, where this is the total of all the funds, this breaks down every department in the general fund and tells you what this year's budget was originally, the amended budget for this year, like any budget amendment they brought to this committee and we've approved, and then the proposed budget for 25. And then the fourth column shows you if there's an increase or a decrease, which obviously the decreases would be in parentheses. As you can see, most of these have increases, but I can tell you CTAS has already approved a 5% raise for all elected officials. The cost of living raise for the judges was 4.1. This is all included. And then I've done all benefits. So if anybody's benefits increased, then obviously that increased in this as well. And that is what a lot of these increases are about. I highlighted one, the Register of Deeds, just to be transparent. Tim has a part-time, 3 full-time, 1 part-time. He wants to go to a 4th part-time, 4th full-time. So with that, he included that in his budget. Sometimes we bring that to the budget hearings and have you all approve that, if that's what you would like to do. It's an increase of $11,458 for the additional from part-time to full. But one of the biggest changes this year in other buildings, the 51730 code, we took that budget out completely of $89,757 and we changed it to 51810. That is the new maintenance position with some funding for him to do some things in the county. And we took that 51730 budget, gave part of it to 51800. We also cut $75,000 out of 51800. So that's why you see a $29,170. We had never really cut utilities from the ESG project, but we're seeing now that we have at least $75,000 budgeted too much for utilities, so we did cut that out of the budget this year as well. And unless you all have any questions, I think Nathan would like to speak about his budget, if you would leave him a couple of minutes, because I put his bullet points. I didn't really put a budget in here for him. And also, the second page of this summary is each individual fund. I will say in the tourism fund, we did include the CETA payment in their budget again that we moved last year. That is included. So their budget deficit with that included is $37,267, which I think is very doable. Fund 18, as always, has more than 3 options this year. It has a 4th option. So that's why I kind of like Nathan to speak about his budget. The library's in great shape, so is solid waste. 122 never changes. The Channel 95, $10,000 deficit, and then 128. But I'm not looking for any motions or anything. Last year we didn't start any of the approvals till April, but I just want to introduce this to you all. I did send you a separate email on the email, the questionnaires. We had some really good questions in there, and we got a lot of responses. And they were more specific questions about longevity and raises, and I hope y'all had a chance to look at those as well. The 4th page I gave you is called the scenarios for compensation increases. If you look at this, it has every fund, their total payroll. The first grouping is percentage raises, 1, 2, 1. I put through 13. I left that column in because last year that was equal to what we had given the sheriff's office. So I put that in there. I should have taken that out because I don't think we're interested in that. And the second one is just a dollar increase, like 500, 750, 1,000, and goes on down. And the third column is if you make if you make less than 40,000, it gives you a little bit bigger raise. 40 to 60, a smaller raise, and then $60,000 and up it does it it breaks it down that way. And this is current, and on the right side, you can see our current, employees, full-time, part-time, and, with elected officials, permanent, part-time. And that's from last pay period, who we had paid, so, and even including the male and female ratio, so. Some good information there. And the last thing, that's it for the budget. If y'all have any questions for me as far as my budget update. I would like Nathan to be able to speak a couple of minutes. I told him he had like 3 or 4. And I know he can't do it in that.
And I plan to keep it brief because I imagine we'll have more conversations as the budget process goes on. Yes, we did submit multiple budgets. We've done that for a number of years, different scenarios and situations that we could look at as options if we wanted to pursue for the ambulance. But really, when it comes to this fiscal year, there are 3 things that I would like to stress as far as taking a look and considering. One of them is looking at the different budgets, the different options that we did propose. The second one is that discussion of 101 or 118. Are we in the general fund or are we on a 118? I believe there was a motion and approval of that motion to discuss this budget cycle. And then the last one, we did submit again options that we could do for increasing revenues. So I would like to have some discussion on that. Obviously, not looking to talk about that tonight because I know the material is probably very new to you all. But as we have that cycle and budget cycle and go on, that we could have some of that discussion over those items. Leaving capital outlay, I know that's its own discussion over other things. Last thing, the budget that I submitted did not include the one-time revenue or one-time funding that we got this current fiscal year. So the ARPA or opioid money is not included in the revenue portion of what we submitted. That was already removed from it. But the Claxton ambulance is still in the budget. And I have some other documents I provided to budget. I'm sure he'll provide to you that gives supporting information for what we have seen beneficial from having that unit in Claxton and operating. So that is in every budget that we submitted, every option. So anyway, just some food for thought. I know there's a lot for you guys to have to consider. And we look forward to the process and being able to talk about it more.
Hey, Robbie, really quick. So
Yeah.
if we move him to 101,
Mm-hmm.
his budget deficit would go down 306,985
Where do you see that at?
on his paper. Move to
That's
ju-
because his fund balance would come with it. Correct? Is that why you included the 3?
No, sir. There are certain things we pay as a 118
Oh, I
that we
got
wouldn't
you.
pay as a general fund.
So workers' comp, trustee, vehicle maintenance and part.
Correct.
We took a couple of those things out last budget cycle.
No, actually, those items we didn't take out, but we did take out dispatch last
That's what I
cycle.
mean, a couple of things you were paying.
Right, yes. Those items we still pay, and as a 118, you still pay. In the general fund, you don't. The departments in the general fund don't pay those things.
We
So-
pay workers' comp in one lump sum in the general fund for everybody.
So for auditing and if we wanted to move them to 101, if hypothetically, if the committee and commission approved it this month, it wouldn't be effective until July 1, correct?
Please.
As long as you made it effective that day, yes.
That actually is very difficult to change during the fiscal year. We did it once before. It's, especially
would
on
not-
finance department, it's
Yeah,
very
I
hard to
mean,
change.
it makes sense to do that. I was just,
I wouldn't recommend, yeah, I would definitely recommend July 1st. Good questions, though. I will say this, too. I passed out a budget calendar last month. I don't, if y'all remember, always in March, we have 2 budget meetings scheduled, one for budget hearings, which is on the 21st. I would like Nathan to have a time, maybe to, get into the weeds of his budget on that date. For sure have that meeting and discuss the EMS budget. So that was the plan, my plan anyway, if y'all agree.
Any additional questions for Nathan or Robbie? Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Okay, section C is a quick update, something I wanted to make you all aware of, and I know you already are, but I kind of reached out to the sheriff's department this week and asked if we could get a rough estimate on, everybody's aware of the prisoner that had the surgery and was in the hospital. Roughly 700, Zach said 700, the sheriff told me today 750 to $1 million, where that we will probably be on the hook for possibly to have to pay. So I mean, I'm not asking to do a appropriation to set aside those funds, but I do want you to be aware that we are going to probably have to pay a very large medical bill for the jail. And I think the sheriff would like to speak about this. It's the reason he's here.
So, as you guys are aware, we had a homicide suspect taken into custody. It was an Oliver Springs case. While we were housing him there, waiting for trial, he develops a tumor in his brain and requires some medical care. So, as part of this process, we reached out to the state of Tennessee, the Department of Corrections, and asked them to take him to the special needs unit because, one, we're not equipped to for his post-op care. We're just not equipped to take care of somebody with those needs. My jail staff got it worked out with the state of Tennessee to where they agreed to take him. Unfortunately, the defense in this case decided that they were not willing to sign that agreement that would allow him to go pre-conviction to the special needs unit down in the state of Tennessee. Our argument with them is that they'll receive much better care than we can provide. And of course, that would have been on the state's dime as opposed to Anderson County's dime. Since then, he had a couple surgeries, if I'm understanding correctly from what I was told, and he spent Capval, 60 days, 90 days in, is it Park West, I think?
Yes, sir.
Park West Hospital for post-op care, and the state, again, they would go ahead and take him, and then at that point, the defense agreed, but only after 2 surgeries and 60 to 90 days worth of billing that's coming our way. And that's where we're coming from, that $700 to $1 million range. It's total speculation on our part. Now, I can tell you this, we have, just signed up with a new company that's going to scrub our bills. We're very hopeful that they're going to find some things, because before we entered into this agreement with them, they took a certain amount of bills for us that were kind of old that we'd already paid, and they showed us where some savings would have been had we been with them, and so we're got our fingers crossed on that as far as these bills start rolling in. And I'll take any questions on this.
When you say defense, are you talking about the public defender?
I am talking about the public defender's office, and go ahead and just toss this out there because it's just it's facts. Prior to all that, they actually filed for lack of a better term, lawsuit against me, asking for a writ of mandamus. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Captain? Writ of mandamus, where I had to appear in criminal court in front of Judge Spitzer. And basically, they said that they wanted the judge to put down an order that that I would do my job as far as providing medical care. Now, he never said this, and he being Kenneth Moynihan, the public defender that is representing the inmate, he wanted the judge to put down the order saying that I was going to continue to do, or I was going to do my job in providing this care for him. Now, he never said it was in retaliation or had anything to do with this agreement where we were trying to send him to TDOC, but at that point, it had been laying on our desk, and they'd been refusing to sign it for 3 weeks. So, and then as an end result of that, ironically enough, that hearing happened that day, but it got delayed by a couple hours because the inmate was at the doctor's office. So,
Mr. Chairman, with that, we can handle this one or two ways, but I would like to ask that we invite Ann Coria to this committee or to commission, and let's ask her why in the world I mean, we're talking about almost $1 million that we think, not to mention all the other indirect costs that are associated with this. You know, prisoners, transportation, his time in criminal court over a ridiculous lawsuit. I would like, and I don't know if we even, she don't have to come. I mean, she's a state official. She does what she wants to do, clearly. But I would ask that we invite Ann Coria to budget, or heck, I'll invite her to full commission, because I would like to know what the rationale was behind that decision. She can, you know, again, she's more than happy not to provide an answer, but you know.
You're suggesting we would invite her?
Yeah, I'd like to know. I'd like to hear straight from her mouth why she refused to give this inmate better care and stick us with $1 million bill. I mean, she represents the people, so I'd like to hear from her as a member of commission and as a voting member of this county.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
Discussion on the motion.
I've just got some comments. I'm not gonna be as professional as the sheriff in this matter. I think that he's handled himself very well considering what all he's been through. And I'm in that world, so I exactly know. I think it's a disgrace. I understand the representation, you have to defend your client. But the public defender, she is an elected official, and she costed the taxpayers a lot of money with this case. Just because they didn't want to drive to Nashville, I'm gonna say it. I'm not gonna be discreet about it. I'll go as far to say I think it's illegal. I think Jay Yeager needs to file a lawsuit against the public defender's office. Go as far as the state public defender's office. I think that they need to compensate us for the funds. I'm not going to go out here with the legal terms, but Sheriff knows what I'm talking about. There's an attorney in there that had no business even signing these documents. I think that was illegal in itself. I'm not going to sit here and say that she didn't have a right to do it, but now she's costed these people, the taxpayers, us, a lot of money because they were too lazy to drive to Nashville to see their client. And that's a disgrace, and I would like that she come to this committee and explain to us and the taxpayers, because they're going to watch this budget meeting, of why she did what she did. I think that she owes that to the people instead of hiding in an office. She owes that to the people, and she owes to tell us why that attorney was doing what he was doing when he wasn't supposed to be doing it. And I think that in itself is a lawsuit, and Jay's not here, but that's the next thing. I'm going to ask him to file a lawsuit on the county's behalf to compensate some of this funds, because I think it was illegal to begin with. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? You're suggesting we invite her to the budget committee?
Yeah, the motion's for her to be invited to budget committee in April to, you know, to explain or answer any questions. And because we already get 39, I mean, through accreditation we get more money, but we get what, 60% of what it costs to, you know, to house a state inmate. We're already on the hook for a lot of state mandates. Our budget, I'm happy that everybody's getting a 5% raise, but we have no choice in the matter that elected officials get a 5% raise and we have to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of it. Judges getting more money, we still have to pay for that. State inmates, well, their prisons are full. We can't send them anywhere. We've got to pay for that. We now, I mean, the state has found all kinds of money, you know, $144 million for, you know, bogus voucher program. Why can't, you know, it's just ridiculous. It is a microcosm of what the state of Tennessee is doing right now, and it's just a joke. It's an absolute joke. And maybe she's just part of, you know, one part of the problem, but at least she's a local one and we can talk to her about it.
And we also, she has a budget with the county, so I think that she needs to come.
I was gonna say, just to be totally transparent, we do budget, Office of Public Defender, 53610, 41,895 a year. They do collect revenue, the $12.50 per case, that probably brings around $20,000 a year, so
What do
which they have a
use it
right
for?
to those funds as far as, but not, I mean, we're going above that, probably 21,895, and have for years, so.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion in just a second after this vote.
Any further discussion on the motion was made here? And who seconded the motion?
James.
Any further discussion, questions? Okay, I guess we're prepared to vote. Everybody understand what we're voting on, I think? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say likewise. Motion carries.
We'll make sure to, we'll make sure to keep you guys posted on any updates as far as the bills coming in, anything that we're able to scrub off through the shaving process or scrubbing process.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chairman, is that invitation gonna be sent by the finance director or the chair or?
I can send it, because she actually came to my office a couple of weeks ago to meet about her budget.
Okay. Thank
So,
you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr., I have one more motion I'd like to make, and if it's out of order, please tell me, but, I'd also like to make a motion that the finance director, place that budget that matches the expected, anticipated revenue. Instead of, if you're projecting $22,000, then her budget's $22,000, and maybe we can start peeling back some of the money we get that the state doesn't give us.
I'll second.
We have several budgets where we match revenue with expenditures, so I can do that.
Good, then we're consistent.
Yeah.
That's being consistent.
Again, does everybody understand the motion? Okay. No further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay. Move on, I guess, to
Capital outlay update.
the
Yes, really quick. I normally don't talk about capital outlay this quick, but if you remember the last 2 years, we have funded capital outlay with the ARP funds. We kind of made him a commitment 2 years ago to fund ambulances and sheriff vehicles for 2 years. That's up now. So we're back in to where we're funding those vehicles. And I ask every department for a 5-year capital outlay plan. And what I normally do is anything that's an imperative, I bring it to one list just because if it's not imperative, then I don't really think it can wait another year or two is the way we normally look at that. But just with the imperative needs from the general fund and EMS, $2,410,511 is what it comes to. Now, could we trim some of these down? Possibly. And that doesn't include like fleet, which every year he puts a new facility on there. I mean, I know we had flooding damage in the past year or two. That was $130,000 worth of damage. He asks for that every year. He doesn't really put a priority on it, but I included it in this list because I just want you to know of the needs the county has as far as expenses. And I mean, I'm not asking for any action on this, just knowledge that I'm giving you all.
any questions?
And I can answer any
This
questions if
item
you have some.
For Robbie? Okay.
Okay, section E is a donation for a scoreboard for Rocky Top. Commissioner Val, I'm going to let him handle this one.
Thank you, Robert. Thank
I
you,
did
Mr.
put this
Chairman.
in your agenda though, packet.
Commissioners, this has been a ongoing project, probably going on over a year now. And the original plan was if the private sector had requested that they thought we needed a new football scoreboard at the ball field in Rocky Top. Little League football uses it, the middle school football team uses it. It is old, it's not functioning properly. But the private sector approached us and asked if we could do a four-way split on this, each one of us giving $5,000, that being the private sector, the city of Rocky Top, the school department, and county commission. And we told them that we would start the process on seeing if we could get that approved. In the meantime, some officials at the middle school thought they had found someone in the private sector who was going to cover the entire cost, which everybody thought, well, that's certainly a good way to go. I don't know all the details. That fell through. I think there was a third plan that came through, and they approached the city with that, and I don't think that it being on city property, that plan was allowable. So now, after all that time and going around the mulberry bush, we're back to square one. The request that we would have would be the private sector, and there was supposed to have been an email sent, I haven't received it yet. A company that operates in Rocky Top is willing to donate the $5,000. Dr. Parrott with the school department has agreed. He's pretty sure that the school department will fund their $5,000. The city has committed $5,000, and I, for one, will donate the remainder of the solid waste funds that I have, which I think is $850 according to Annette. If the county commission will go ahead and fund the remaining $5,000 on it, so it would be a group project for a scoreboard that all the parties involved can use, and the information on that is included in your package here today. That would be the scoreboard, the installation, and I believe the city manager of Rocky Top's here with us today. If all the checks, I think, would go to them, then they would take care of the purchasing and the installation of the scoreboard. So that's what we're bringing to you this afternoon.
Questions for
What
Commissioner
code would
Val?
you want this taken out of?
That's a good question. What code? Like I said, mine from the solid waste fund would be $850.
But yours is an addition to the 5,000, isn't it? Or are you,
Part of the $5,000.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that unassigned fund balance would be our only.
Yes.
So are we setting a precedent here where we're gonna start funding scoreboards for Little League football?
I'm sorry, I was
Are
called.
we setting a precedent where we're gonna start funding scoreboards for Little League football? Yeah.
It's really the middle school that's asking for it. It's not Little League as much as it's the Little League that's asking for it. It's the middle school, Lake City Middle School football team that's asking. So the Little League just uses the field on Saturdays, so they will use the scoreboard, yes. But the middle school is the one that's asking for the funds.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Wells.
so kind of going back, and the question can be directed to whoever's got knowledge on this. The original hope was you had a private donor that would sponsor the entire funding for this. Just knowing everything we've gone through with Boys and Girls Club, with Oak Ridge Athletics, and funding our scoreboards, has there been an initiative to find sponsors to cover this other $5,000 as opposed to coming out of the county? And
I believe that was what had attempted during this year's time, was in order to do that. And I don't know the specifics of who was contacted and what their reason was for not doing it or whatever. All I know is the requester, who's the coach there at Lake City Middle School, came back and approached us again and said that they were unable to get what they thought they could with those donations. But certainly donations, I don't think, is ever out of the question.
so I get that. So piggybacking off, just seeing this black and white of it, common sense to me looking at it is, well, there's room on the bottom. There's room for advertisers to go up. Cook's Comfort System, Gerald Cook, before he sold recently, was doing $25,000 a year to the Oak Ridge Athletics program to help fund these types of initiatives, so they didn't have to come after public funds. So I guess that would be I wouldn't say I'm a hard no right now, but I would say, you know, step one for me to even be comfortable to talking about this will be, well, do they have a plan to do $500 to $1,000 sponsorships on this to help offset that cost, or they just want to have a pretty scoreboard with, you know, like Wrigley Field with no advertising on it? So that would, before I was even comfortable voting one way or the other, I would want to know if they actually had a plan to raise that money, or maintenance money after it pays for itself, so.
Okay, so you're asking to see if they have a plan to do fundraising for?
Sure, I mean, just in common sense, you go to any high school stadium around here, you're gonna see advertising.
Sure.
Below and above it, so that would be, has that avenue been exercised yet to look at helping offset these costs?
And which part of the 5,000, I'm sorry, I wanna make sure I'm gonna tell them right what you're asking.
So
The
I can't,
fundraising for
I
which
can't
part?
advocate anything City of Rocky Top wants to do, that's great. But for me if this were Oak Ridge asking for this money, that would be my same question to them is, have you tried to raise the money yet on your own? What's your game plan to raise the money? Versus, well, we'd like to see the county give $5,000. I bet you would, but I'd also like to see you try to fund this yourself and keep it up.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Thank you for letting me speak again. Would it be appropriate to refer this to nonprofit?
I thought, I mean, it's not a nonprofit,
Right.
but it is a donation, so it could possibly go there and be discussed, yes. I
Okay,
mean,
and just to be fully transparent, having been involved with Little League sports in Norris and Andersonville, Glen Alpine, and Fairview, for years, they needed a scoreboard and never came to ask county commission, and don't receive any city funding or any county funding or anything like that. So I just wonder if it would be more appropriate to make this a nonprofit, even though they're not a nonprofit.
So, the finance committee did make a motion this year that any donations, because we have another fund that was donating money to cities through their, I mean, just transparent, the tourism fund. So we made a motion that all donations had to come through the nonprofit committee. I mean, so yes, technically it should.
So do we need to change the name of that committee? 'Cause that doesn't make any
Donation
sense.
committee? I mean, I don't know.
So this is a little not on topic of this, but my understanding was that opioid money also would go through that fund, even if it was not considered technically a nonprofit. Because it would be a donation out of the opioid money.
Additional,
Just to show precedent, I guess, or consistency.
yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Val?
I get what Commissioner Vandegrift is saying, and she makes a valid point, but I think we may be starting something that's going to be real confusing if every time any request comes up, then we wind up sending it to that committee. I don't think that was the intention of Commissioner Yeager when he first drafted the policies on that, but, I mean, if that's what the commission or the budget committee wants to utilize that committee for, I guess that'll be okay, but I don't know if that was our original intent when we started it back up. I know it sure wasn't Commissioner White's original intent, because he warned us against this happening before we got it going again. I guess it's whatever we want to do as a body. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further?
I do have one question too, Shane, and since the middle school uses it, why can the school not donate $10,000?
Well, I think we were looking at it as a four-part group effort when it first got brought up. The private sector, the person who first brought it up, came as, you know, hey, let's do that as a group effort. Since each of us have a part ownership in this field, the school uses it, the city uses it. Here's a private donor who's wanted to, you know, contribute to it. Let's all join together and try to come up, you know, with a solution to this problem. Obviously, they don't know how bureaucratic government can get and sometimes complicate a very simple plan. But I certainly understand the concerns that people have. If we're going to send it to the nonprofit committee, then certainly that's fine. If that's what everybody thinks is the right course of action to go.
May I?
Phil Yeager, head of the nonprofit committee. I believe in our resolution, and I don't have it in front of me, but it says we can donate to 501c3s and 501c4, 5, 6s. It does, I don't think it addresses donating to a municipality. And we can ask Jay for legal opinion, but that's my non-legal opinion.
I do believe, and I certainly don't want to get this started back up, but I do believe that we have donated to municipalities in the past on more than one occasion. I know when we were helping with the paving in the road, of the road in one of the industrial parks, we passed that. Might have been for a different purpose, certainly, but I think we have done that
We did.
in the past.
Well, we have donated, but it never went through the nonprofit committee. I think
Correct.
that's completely different.
Okay, so you're saying as far as sending it to the nonprofit,
Mhm.
okay.
That's my opinion.
I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's make one, I want to make one thing. City's not asking, okay? It's literally, it's the middle school football team that's asking for the donation. And to answer your question, yes, I do think they are planning on putting sponsorships up there to maintain it, to help maintain it. The city donated $5,000 towards the school board, and then we're going to install it also. We're going to pay to have it installed also. That's the only thing the city is going to do. So it's I keep saying Little League. It's not the Little League. It's the middle school that is asking for the donation.
Mr. Chairman, if I may ask Commissioner Bell a quick question.
Sure.
Did they say kind of a time frame, or is it just whenever it's gonna happen?
The coach would like to get it ordered as soon as possible so that it can be installed before the football season starts.
So by August?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you be opposed to deferring pushing this out, and then us talking to Dr. Parrott? I saw that $19.1 million cash in their fund, about seeing if they would be willing to, with it being a school, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the county, but with it being a school project, is seeing if maybe they'll do the other 10. Because I know they've given money to Anderson County High School, to Clinton High School, as far as sports, their facilities and other things. I don't see this being any different. If they're willing to give $10,000 to this for the middle school, I would think that would be. And then if they tell us to kick rocks, then we can come back next month and talk about it again.
I have no objection to that.
I do know, I think when I talked to Brandon said the guy that owns the school board was 6 to 12 weeks out.
Okay.
Would that still be time enough for,
It would be pushing. Because he's got to get the frame made, and then it's got to come, and then we've got to set it.
That should be an easy check for the schools to cut without a PO. They need a PO, but they wouldn't need.
Well, we can do a PO in a day.
Yeah, they wouldn't need 3 quotes and a bid, so.
No comment.
okay. You're suggesting we defer?
Yeah, till next budget meeting, until we talk to the schools.
I'll second that.
Okay. So help me out here. We vote on the defer amendment, then we are back on.
Well, there was no original motion, so I think this would be just the motion itself.
Yeah, we never had a vote.
Okay, so that we have a motion to defer to the next budget meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
Okay, sorry. You ready for me? Section F is the nonprofit donations. Now, we did have, the nonprofit committee did meet, and we discussed 3 donations. One was declined. There was up to $14,000 for children advocacy program window replacement project, which I did get 3 quotes for them, and I think they're gonna be able to do it less than $9,000. It looks like one quote was $8,405, and a second quote, $8,960. Well, sorry, cost now $13,735. That was the initial quote. But they did get an $8,000 quote, $8,405 from Mountain Glass. And the other was for $10,000 for American Legion Post 172 for a paving project. And I did not have a funding source for either one of these, nor has this been in the paper yet. I decided to wait till this committee approved these appropriations before I noticed in the paper. So it would be next month before I take it to commission or ask for their approval, because it does have to be in the paper so many days. So, but that's what we talked about doing after, for these kind of donations or nonprofit meeting donations. But I do need a motion to approve these from the budget committee or not approve these. We can take them individually, or if you want to, or both of them, along with a funding source, which it would either be ARP or unassigned.
This was approved, this. it was
Nonprofit did approve
By the
this.
nonprofit, yes.
Yes. That Commissioner Yeager,
Unanimously, I
chair.
think.
I make a motion, we approve and pay out of ARP funding as a group.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, questions? Okay, guess we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and the last thing on our agenda is under unfinished business. It's the Rocky Top Sewer project that was brought to this committee last month. And I did receive the information and included it in your packet that you requested from their city manager, Mike Ellis. And Mike, if you want to come up here and just talk about this, you want to talk.
Okay, as we came last week, or last month, I told bids were open on the sewer project that they estimated the project to be 4.3 million 4 years ago. When they were open, it came out 5.4 million. And one of the reasons was the CIP, which is the lining of the sewer, basically almost tripled. And so we're 1.3 million count contingencies out. That would be roughly $10,000 a month for us, $120,000 over 20 years. We're just asking if y'all would help us in funding some of that. We did go to Campbell County. We have met with their county commission in a workshop. They asked if we would come back to the water committee, so we're waiting on them to go and meet with them. I know Michael asked if we would do that, and it just so happened I had a meeting up there that Thursday night, got on the agenda for that Monday, and so we went that Monday and met with them. But that's basically what we've got. Is you can see how many feet that the CIPP is. It was over $1 million in itself. I think it was they roughly figured it was going to be around $40 to $50 a foot, and it ended up being over 100. So.
Okay. We don't have a motion, but any discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe at last month's meeting, Commissioner White, and I appreciate him doing so, made a motion that I think we wound up withdrawing, that we approve $500,000 for this project. That was going to pay Mike for half of it, close to half?
Close to half.
Okay,
yes.
all right. Any amount that they get is going to lower any rate increase on the people who are customers of Rocky Top Water and Sewer. So anything that the more that we can give them, the less that the ratepayers are gonna have to pay on this. This has been an ongoing problem for many years. Chairman Mays remembers it, Chairman Foster remembers it. It was an issue that we've been battling for years. This is finally going to fix the problem. So this isn't just going to be assistance to a city. This is going to be assistance to the people who live up on that end of the county, who are subscribers to the water and sewer department up there. So if Commissioner White is still in support of that, I'll go ahead and make that motion that we approve $500,000.
Do I have a second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second? Discussion, questions? Oh,
Oh, you're good. I would wonder, I just wonder if it's prudent for us to, I mean, if this body wants to move forward with assisting the city, you know, you've got the city of Norris who has a serious infrastructure problem. Maybe not to this magnitude, but, you know, perception's reality. To them, it's a big deal. Oliver Springs is another municipality that has serious infrastructure issue. Oak Ridge has, you know, serious infrastructure. It crossed the board. I know we gave, I guess it was about $250,000 to all of the municipalities or the water departments, but my question is if this is something that the commission's wanting to do, then I just think it would be appropriate that we would bring everybody to the table and be fair and just say, hey, look, we understand you're hurting, and then look at it that way. And then I also would just, you know, say this too. I will say, I've been in the bid process more times than I care to even count. I do wish the city would have rebid this and showed some good faith effort. It may not have changed a penny, but I do wish this would have been rebid. You know, that's something that I think that taxpayers in my neck of the woods would expect. But also too, I just want to keep in mind, we saw the list of capital outlay requests that we have as a county. And Commissioner Val's right, God knows, the people up there, those ratepayers, they need help. Golly bum, they do. But we're faced with a lot of projects ourselves, a lot of projects. And we're looking down the barrel of possibly a deficit budget without giving employees a raise. You know, I will say this. I'm in favor of supporting giving Rocky Top something. But I'm going to vote no until we can bring everybody, if this is the direction we want to go, that until we bring everybody and say, okay, how can we help everybody? That's kind of where I'm at on this. And again, too, I just want everybody to be cognizant of all of the needs. I mean, fleet services, EMS stations, sheriff's vehicles. I mean, the list is long and it's not going to get shorter. So just be mindful of that. Again, I would be open to a different amount, but I can't support the $500,000, knowing that other municipalities are, you know, are not gonna get anything.
Thank you. Further discussion, yes,
Can I
Commissioner Bochamp?
This is the one thing that I was worried about when the city of Clinton came to us for the paving. I made this exact statement of what happens when other city entities need help and we say no. So, but I gave in to the paving, I didn't wanna do it, I did not give in to the red light, told them they can turn their city over, I won't tell you that, but this was what I was worried about, is I get it, everybody is struggling, we're, you know, the taxpayers are struggling, we can't go to the grocery store without paying $300 and get nothing. So I understand the need for this, but right now, you know, since I've been sitting on commission, I've heard animal shelter, put a EMS station in Claxton, a new Claxton school, Justice Center, new domestic violence facility. That's a lot of things that in just 2 years that we've talked about since I've been sitting up here, and that's a lot of money. And I'm scared where this budget and where we're gonna go in the next 3 years if we don't pull the reins on some of this stuff. If I get it, we want nice, flashy, shiny things. We gotta keep up with the county next door, but we're about to put things on the backs of the taxpayers. And it's not that I don't wanna help Lake City, I love Lake City, but we've gotta slow down a little bit in this budget cycle. I think I learned my lesson with city entities, but I think we need to take a step back and look at some of this, of what we need to do. I don't wanna put it on the citizens of Lake City. I understand that they're already paying high rates for sewer and water and things like that. But I'm not comfortable giving $500,000 right now either. That's a lot of money. I knew it would come back and bite me whenever I did the paving, but I don't want you guys to think that I'm attacking or anything like that. It's just, there's a lot of needs right now, and I think we've got to really step back and look at some of this stuff of what we're gonna do, because when it comes to raising taxes, because that's where it's looming, I've already done the numbers. If we keep going down this route of building and getting the new flashy things, everybody's gonna run screaming and crying whenever we have to do a tax increase, and the taxpayers wanna vote us out of office. That's the way it works. That's the way the cycle goes. So I think we've gotta take a step back and look at some of this stuff.
Yes, Commissioner.
Can we refer this to the strategic workshop and talk about it at the end of the month? Where's that? So I think there's already a motion on the floor, so we probably need to, and then do I need to make a motion to refer it to the strategic workshop? Okay.
If you feel that way, yes.
Okay, so do we want to do the,
So your motion is to,
well, I think we need to finish up
Got
the,
one on the floor already?
yeah.
oh, okay, that'd be amended, yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I've certainly listened to the comments and I understand where my fellow commissioners are coming from. Is going to Commissioner May's point, thinking 500's too much. Is there a number that you would be okay with voting on today until we could get with those other municipalities and see if there's an amount we can help them with?
Probably not, honestly, until we, just to be fair and honest with you, not until, I mean, because I'd like to hear from them too, you know, what their needs are, and I will, if I'm not mistaken, there's some time on this, right? I mean, as far as this project goes, I mean, I know that the state is always in the business of helping and giving money in terms of these kind of projects. You know, there's a possibility that the state could come in and, you know, due to an increase in costs that, you know, like you talked about, the triple, is that something that the state, you know, we could revisit with the state? And obviously, I don't know. You know, but no, to answer your question, going back to your question, no, I wouldn't feel comfortable on an amount right today.
Mike, what might be a time restraint that you all are under on this? I mean, it's got to be started soon, I would assume, doesn't it?
It does, it needs to be started soon. I mean, we can wait till the end of the month, I mean.
Okay.
Additional questions? Oh, the motion on the floor is to approve $500,000 for Rocky Top sewer. Any further questions? Okay, I guess we're ready to vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, a like sign?
No.
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 Motion fails.
So then I need to make a motion to refer this issue to the strategic planning workshop on the 27th.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to refer to strategic planning. Yes.
So I do have a question about that. Would the mayor or Denise, I don't know, would you all invite, would it be appropriate to invite those entities, Norris, at that point? Norris, Rocky Top, or?
I wouldn't think so. I would
Okay.
just, if maybe the mayor could, the mayor might be able to reach out.
Reach out,
and
okay.
Find out what their pain points are and kind of.
Get us some numbers to work with. Okay.
Okay, we have motion on the floor is to refer to the strategic planning meeting, strategic planning committee. All those in favor? I don't see any further discussion at all. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign?
No.
No? One, okay.
Did you vote no, Shane?
It was one no.
One no.
Echo.
Robbie, did we, I must have missed it or not, the paving project was approved by the nonprofit committee. Was that something?
That was the American Legion Post.
Pardon?
The American Legion Post. Tyler took
Yeah.
both of those as a group. We approved that.
Okay.
Yeah, we took them as a group.
I do have one comment to make about,
Okay.
if I could, about the City of Clinton donation real quick. Just one thing that was a little different for me on that is we did have restricted funds set aside for those industrial parks for improvements that was agreed upon apparently by commission years ago. So we were able to use those funds for that project. So it's a little different than giving $250,000. You know what I mean? I'm trying to say. But that's just my 2 cents.
I just had to say it.
I know.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, new business?
What about this?
Any new business?
We did that.
Oh, we did.
Any motion to adjourn?
Oh, it might have been.